Did you know India is one of the only countries in the world that has MRP or maximum retail price printed on packaged goods? If you go to the US, Europe or any other developed country in the world, you will not find this printed on products. Shopkeepers and retailers there are free to charge whatever they want based on their costs, their location and what the market is ready to pay. But in India, every single packaged product that you buy has a number that is printed on it, and that number is supposed to be the maximum that you will ever pay for that product anywhere in the entire country. Now I know this sounds like a great thing, right? Because it means you as a consumer is protected. No matter which shop you go to, you know the ceiling price, so nobody can really overcharge and cheat you. But I'll tell you what is exactly strange about this. See, if you look at how products are sold in India today, MRP has become almost meaningless and is now also being used as a tool to manipulate us customers. Take any product that is being sold online right now. Let's assume there is a product with an MRP of 2000 rupees. I'm very sure that you would have noticed that in almost all of the cases, it actually sells for much lesser, let's say around 900 rupees or so. It never really sells for 2000 rupees. So the big question is, was 2000 rupees ever the real price, or was 900 rupees the price all along and we were just being made a fool of? The point I'm trying to make here is that MRP was supposed to protect us from being cheated, but today it is actually being used to cheat us just in a completely different way. So in this video today, I want to decode the complete story of MRP in India. We will understand why it was created, how it's broken in 3 specific ways today, and most importantly, what should ideally replace it. My name is Anurag Bansal. This video has been supported by Zerodha 01 Media Network. Let's decode. Now, to understand why MRP exists in the first place, let's quickly go back to the 1980s. See, back then, if you walked into a shop to buy, let's say, a packet of biscuits, you would notice something printed on it. It would say something like price ₹5, taxes extra. Now, what's exactly happening here is that the manufacturer is simply telling you the base price, and then the shopkeeper is adding whatever taxes is applicable in that region. But I'll tell you what exactly started to happen as a result of it. See, once you picked up that packet of biscuits and went to the shopkeeper's counter, the shopkeeper told you that the cost is actually 8 rupees. Now obviously you would go and ask, but the bracket says 5 rupees. To that, the shopkeeper would say, yes, but there are taxes like state tax, sales tax, municipal tax, etc. and it all adds up to 8 rupees. Now the thing is, you as a consumer had absolutely no way to verify if this information was true. At that time, you did not know what the actual tax rates were. You could not look it up on your phone because internet did not really exist for most people back then, and you could not just walk to the next shop and compare prices because that shop would ideally be very far away. So as a result, what happened is that across the country, shopkeepers started adding random amounts of numbers on top of the printed price. One shop could charge 7 rupees for the same product, another one could charge 8 rupees, and a third one might even charge 9 rupees. And that is when the government eventually noticed that such a thing was happening at scale, and then they decided to fix it. That's when in 1990 they introduced a rule. Now this rule said that manufacturers have to print one final price on every packaged product. The price would include everything right from the production cost to the profit margin and all applicable taxes. Nothing could be added at the billing counter later. And that very final price is what we call today as the maximum retail price, or MRP. Now for the most part, it worked pretty well, because in a country like ours where most people could not easily access information or compare prices across different shops, MRP became a very important form of protection. So that is why it exists, and for many years it did exactly what it was supposed to do. But then things started changing. Let me show you the first way this entire system got broken. I'll tell you something that you have all probably noticed. When was the last time you actually saw a product selling at its printed MRP? If you look at most products online, the printed MRP is almost meaningless. If the printed MRP of a product is, let's say, 800 rupees, it'll probably sell at around 430 rupees on Amazon, maybe 450 rupees on a platform like Blinkit, and at local shops you could maybe get it at around 500 to 600 rupees. Nobody is actually charging you the 800 rupees that is actually printed on the product. Not offline, not online, nowhere really. So the question is, why print that number at all in that case? See, what's actually happening is that brands are deliberately inflating MRPs beyond what the product is actually worth or what they ever intend to sell it for. The real target price might be, let's say, 430 rupees, but they will print 800 rupees on the package. Why, you may ask? Because when you see 800 rupees striked through and 430 rupees in bold green text next to it, your brain immediately thinks, wow, I'm saving so much money, it's an amazing deal. But you're not really saving anything. 630 rupees is just the normal price. The 800 rupee price tag was never real. It was just purely there to make you feel good about your purchase. Now, to be extremely fair, this kind of fake discount psychology exists everywhere in the world. Even in countries that do not have MRP, brands do play these pricing games. But I'll tell you what makes it especially very powerful in India. See, in most countries, when you see a crossed out price, it's simply the company's suggested price. You know that it is marketing. But in India, that number on the package is not just a suggestion, it is MRP, which is a government mandated, legally enforced maximum price cap. So basically, when you see that MRP struck through, you are essentially seeing what looks like a real discount on top of an official government backed price. That is exactly what I think makes this trick work so well here in India. I think it's fair to say that in some sense, the very system that was built to protect you is now being used as a tool to make fake discounts feel very, very real. But that said, there is one more reason why brands print high MRPs on their packets. And it's not just about tricking us consumers. See, brands have to deal with a very important problem, which is selling through both online platforms and physical stores. And these two channels have very, very different cost structures. I'll give you an example. Let's say a vacuum cleaner costs 5,000 rupees to manufacture. Amazon, which has low overhead costs, is perfectly happy selling it for 6,000 rupees and making a small profit. But the problem is, a small shop in a mall has to pay high rent, AC, staff salaries, and many other expenses. So they need to sell that same vacuum cleaner for 8,000 rupees just so that they can survive. But then if the brand ends up setting the MRP at 6,500 just to be fair, what happens? The offline store simply cannot stock it. They will go out of business, so the brand therefore sets the MRP at somewhere around 10,000 rupees. Now Amazon can sell it at 6,000 rupees with a 40% off label, and the offline store can sell it at roughly around 8,000 rupees with a 20% off label, and both of them can survive very well. And in that way, the high MRP is a buffer that keeps physical retail alive in the age of e-commerce. Because without it, offline stores would just collapse because they would simply not be able to compete with online pricing. So yes, high MRPs do create fake discount psychology, but they also solve a real business problem for brands trying to manage multiple sales channels. But that said, the end result for consumers like you and I is still the same. The MRP, which was designed to protect people like you and me from being overcharged, has now become a marketing tool to manipulate how much value you think you are getting. But the fake discount problem is just one part of it. There is another important trick that brands use, and it is even more problematically clever. Let's say you manufacture soft drinks and you want to charge 20 rupees in regular shops but 50 rupees at airports and cinema halls. Now legally you cannot do that because the MRP should be the same everywhere, right? But there is a loophole to this. What if you make a tiny packaging change? Maybe you could print special edition on it, or you could change the label color very slightly, or you could add a premium badge there. Technically and legally, this is now a different product, so you are free to print a different MRP. The drink inside is still the same, and even the size of the container is still the same. But because the wrapper looks a little bit different, you can legally charge 50 rupees at airports, while the regular version still sells at 20 rupees everywhere else. And mind you, this does not just happen in physical locations, it is happening online as well. If you check for the same product across different platforms, you will notice something that is very, very weird. The MRP itself is different. Not the selling price, the actual printed MRP itself is different. For example, I was checking a shampoo bottle on Amazon and the MRP was 375 rupees. Now the exact same product on Blinkit happened to have an MRP of 435 rupees. The exact same product. Now how does this happen? See, brands change the SKU code. They basically make tiny tweaks to the packaging, they generate a new product code, and now they can legally print different MRPs for different retailers. So even though you are buying what looks like an identical product, it is technically classified as a different variant altogether. And that legally lets brands play around with pricing in ways that completely defeat the point of having an MRP in the first place. Now moving on, let me tell you something that does not really get talked too much about, but it is a very genuine problem with how MRP system works in India. See, when a manufacturer sets an MRP, they are also effectively deciding how much profit every retailer can make. I'll give you an example. Let's say you launch a snack brand with an MRP of 50 rupees. You sell it to retailers at, let's say, 35 rupees, which gives them a 15 rupee margin. Now that works perfectly fine if the retailer is in a city that has good roads and good amount of customers. But what if the retailer is in a remote village? Now there, transport costs to get the product to that village are much higher, the volume of sales are much lower, and even though the day-to-day operating costs might be lower in a village, the overall logistics costs make the economics tougher. So in that situation, 15 rupees per pack may not really work. They might require 20 or 25 rupees to make it worth it, but they cannot realistically charge 70 or 75 rupees for that 50 rupee product because the MRP is officially capped at 50 rupees. So what happens? Either they refuse to stock your product or they quietly sell it above MRP, which is is illegal of course, but it's barely enforced in remote areas. If you think about it from a practical standpoint, MRP assumes one price for all of India, but the truth is India is not one uniform market. Getting a product to let's say the Himalayas costs much more than delivering it to let's say Bangalore, yet the MRP is still the same. So in some sense, the remote areas either get subsidized indirectly through metro cities, or they simply do not get access to many products because retailers just will not be ready to stock them. So then with all of these problems and trade-offs, the question is, what should we really do? See, like I said, India is not just one type of market. It is many different types of markets just operating together. For example, if you are a young professional in a metro city, you probably shop online, you compare prices across multiple apps, you check reviews and verify discounts using price history tools as well. So for you, MRP really does not matter too much because you are protected by information and competition. But on the other hand, if you are somebody in a smaller town buying packaged goods for the first time, you might not have multiple shops nearby. You might not know if 60 rupees for a product is fair or it's inflated, and you may not have the tools to verify it as well. So for that person, MRP still serves as real protection. So maybe the solution to all of this is not to remove MRP entirely, but to rethink where it even applies in the first place. I'll tell you what could probably make sense here. For essential goods like rice, flour, milk, water, etc., we could keep an MRP. Now these are necessities where price protection really matter a lot, especially during times of crisis. But for non-essential stuff like electronics, furniture and home decor kind of stuff, we could move to a suggested retail price system like it is there in developed countries. The manufacturer could recommend a price, but retailers could have the flexibility based on their specific costs and their specific location. So that way, we protect the vulnerable while we also let markets work where they can. That's all I have for you in today's video. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Should MRP stay or should it change? I would love to hear your perspective. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and bye-bye.